Well, it's another great day to be a Tiger once again, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, my name is Alan Graff. I'm the first chairman of the Board of Trustees, and now I've been relegated to just trustee, but our chairman, David North, couldn't be here today, so I'm doing his duty. I am very proud and very excited to formally introduce our new Director of Athletics, Laird Veatch. Laird, welcome. Being the true family man that Laird is, he brought his family with him today. They're sitting down here in the front row. You have Chuck and Fran, mom and dad over there in the inn. They drove in from Manhattan, Kansas. You have daughters Jordan, Taylor, Sydney, and son Drew. Drew, show your helmet. And I'll introduce her, and I know Laird's going to talk about her, but his beautiful bride, Brandy. You can see that Laird, besides going to be a great AD, is a great recruiter as well. I just want to take a minute to commend our exceptional president, David Rudd, on this home run selection. David, really fantastic. And I also want to give a lot of thanks to a very deserving man, Allie Prescott. Allie, stand up. It was Allie's willingness to come in and take over at a time when there was a lot of pressure and give David the time he needed to do a thorough search and not be rushed. And I think, as you'll see before this press conference is over, we really do have a blue chip recruit here in Laird. I know the Board of Trustees is excited about working with him. I know the coaches are. And I just want to say that, Allie, thanks again for what you were able to do. You've all seen Laird's resume. I've gotten to know him a little bit. I can tell you he's extremely energetic. He's smart as a whip. The thing I like about him the most is that he's a two-time academic All-American linebacker from Kansas State, so he knows what's getting hit is like. But he's also got a great resume at Kansas State and most recently University of Florida. You're going to hear more about that. We're real proud to have you here, Laird, and the family. We're delighted to have you. Drew, you look great in that helmet. And without any further ado, let me bring up our great president, David Rudd.
Thank you, Alan. I really appreciate that. Coach Norvell, good to see you take break from practice and come over. You know, Coach Hardaway would be here, but he is doing difficult duty down in the Bahamas. There was a great benefit for me. I got an excellent parking space right behind the facility for this. Let me thank all of you for joining us today to welcome Laird, Brandy, Jordan, Taylor, Sydney, and Drew to Memphis. I also want to take a minute and thank our Board of Trustees, our Board of Visitors, the Athletic Department ambassadors. In particular, I'd like to thank our Board Chair, Dave North, and please join me and let's give a round of applause for our former chair and current trustee, Alan Graff. I'd also like to thank our executive committee members, Brad Martin and Cato Johnson, and BOV member Mike Bruns for their work as a part of this search process. I want to take a second and thank Allie Prescott for stepping in and leading this department over the course of the last 90 days. He has done an exceptional job. Allie, I am forever grateful for your willingness to step in and lead this department. Laird will be transitioning on October 1st. As I have mentioned elsewhere, Allie is going to stay on in a new capacity with the university through March in the spring, working with me as a special assistant to the president's office, assisting me with a number of fundraising initiatives that we've launched over the past 90 days that we are optimistic about our success over the course of the coming year. So in short, if you see Allie and I coming, lean over, get your checkbook, and get ready. Tiger Athletics has a proud history and is a treasured part of this community. Finding the right leadership, finding the right fit for Memphis is essential for this university. We have found the right person to lead this department, to enhance our national impact, to help our coaches win championships, our athletes achieve academic success and graduate, launch new careers, serve as ambassadors for this university, capitalize on the unique passion and energy of Memphis, and help this department form partnerships both internally across our campus and externally across our city and the country. We needed to find someone that could help Tiger Athletics take the next step. I can tell you with absolutely no hesitation that Laird is the right choice to do just that. He is an exceptional administrator, an outstanding leader, a proven fundraiser, someone with substantial media experience and exposure, along with vast experience at some of the nation's leading athletic departments and a broad array of relationships across this country. As a former student athlete, he brings a unique perspective and understanding to this role, one that recognizes the significant challenges of student athletes and what they face today and the many responsibilities they juggle. I don't know if there's ever been a more difficult time to juggle the demands of being a student athlete. It was clear to me and to the group that worked on this that Laird checked all the right boxes. But we also needed to find someone that would recognize and embrace those unique qualities of Memphis. We knew very quickly that Laird was that person. So please join me in welcoming the new athletic director for the University of Memphis, Laird Veatch.
All right, Tigers, we ready? All right, thank you all for being here. You can imagine this is a pretty special moment for me and for my family. I appreciate you being here and enjoying it with us. President Rudd, thank you for the opportunity. I could not be more excited, more honored. I've genuinely enjoyed the conversations we've had over the last few weeks, and I'm looking forward to following your leadership. I also want to thank Allie. He's been recognized a couple of times already. The president mentioned he'll be a special assistant to him, but I think we're going to be trying to arm wrestle over who gets your support and help. Me too. Allie, I know you got this covered until October when I get here, but I see a friendship in our future, and I appreciate all your help. I want to also thank the current staff, the athletic department staff and coaches. I know how challenging a transition can be, but I also know what it takes to run a department. There's going to be a lot of good comments about all the things that are going on here right now, and I know that doesn't just happen. So thank you for your efforts, your hard work over the last several months and years getting to this point. I also want to thank Tom Bowen, my predecessor, for all of his hard work and the things he did to impact this university, this department. I want to take a second and thank a couple ladies, Tammy Hedges and Stephanie Beasley in particular, for all the detailed work you've put into this at this point. Can we give them a round of applause real quick? Tammy and Stephanie, I especially appreciate the time you spent with my wife and daughter, showing them around town. You made this a much easier sell for me at home, so that was very important, and I appreciate it. And the word I've used to this point describing the opportunity and the situation that I see here is momentum. And I believe you're going to continue to hear that from me over the months and years ahead. I am extremely excited about what's going on here. That doesn't just happen. It happens because of leadership. And I want to also thank, although they've been recognized a few times to this point, the trustees, especially the ones that I've met through this process, Alan, Cato Johnson, Mr. Brad Martin, of course, David North, and I also had the opportunity to meet Fred Smith briefly on my time here in Memphis, and what an incredible man. Fred, if you're out there, thank you for all that you mean to this university, this community. I want to thank the Board of Visitors. I understand there's a great deal of work and effort that you put in to help make this place what it is, so thank you. I look forward to meeting you and working with you. And as I've also said many times, in our world, coaches drive success. And I want to thank Coach Penny while he's not here. I want him to know that figuratively, I'm really, really glad he is here. You can imagine the impact and the opportunity this presents for an athletic director to step into a time like this. And Coach Norvell, I especially appreciate our time together. I've told a few other folks in our business that I've met with and interviewed a lot of head coaches. Nobody's impressed me more than the time we spent together in just that hour. I'm so excited to be with you and work with you. And finally, to all of our head coaches, while I haven't had a chance to meet many of you yet, I really look forward to it. I've heard wonderful things and sure excited to come alongside you. You know, we're standing here in the Lori Walton Family Basketball Center, and this is certainly an incredible facility. But as we stand here, I can't help but think how amazing it is how life tends to circle back around. See, when I was a young fundraiser coming right out of grad school at the University of Texas, and I was at Missouri at the time, I had the opportunity to meet the Lori and the Walton families in my time there in Columbia. They were really one of the first true philanthropic families that I was able to meet. And that includes Bill and Nancy, but also includes Miss Audie Walton. And a story I want to tell real quick, which my wife and I have shared a few other times. When our oldest daughter, Jordan, the tallest of the blondes in the front here, when she was just a baby in diapers, my wife and I took the opportunity to drive out to Versailles, Missouri, and meet Audie Walton at her home to introduce her to our daughter. And we drove in and drove up to this house, really humble house, looked like all the rest of them around it in small town Missouri, and walked in, and everything was the same except for on the wall there was a large gold W, right? And there was what I take as a replica of the Rams Super Bowl trophy on her coffee room table. So those things stood out a little bit as different. But she went on and had just this wonderful conversation and told us an amazing story about how Walmart got started and her family, et cetera. And I remember at that time realizing that was one of the moments where I just fell in love with this profession. And just because of the people you meet and the relationships you build and the stories you hear, it's unlike anything else. It really has an opportunity to bridge people together. I think back even before that on what led me into working in college athletics. Certainly part of that was being a student athlete. And the story's been written many times about the remarkable turnaround at Kansas State under Coach Schneider in the early 90s when I was with my other teammates there. Amazing, amazing experience. How it impacted me and so many of my other teammates sticks with us forever. It's one of the things that we're most proud of in life, certainly. But for me, in terms of this profession, when I realized I really wanted to stay with it and do it is when I understood the impact that it can have on a community. And I will tell you the time when that really hit me was the summer between my junior and senior year when all the other co-captains from the team and myself were speaking all across the state to capbacker groups and Rotary clubs, and we were coming off literally the first bowl victory in the history of that school. And what I saw that do to the pride and the bonding and the relationships and the excitement in that community really stuck with me. And that drove me to decide this is something that I want to be a part of and continue. So I fast forward to today, and I think about what really, in the end, pushed me over the edge of why this is the right opportunity at the right time for me. And that's when I started to get an inkling of what this athletic department, the university, means to this city. And the opportunity to be with you people and embrace that and be a part of it is something I could not be more excited about. See, I believe there is a greater purpose in college athletics that doesn't always get discussion and notice. And that is that, in my mind, it is one of the unique bonding fabrics of our country. I really believe that. It has an opportunity to build relationships across the board. You look at opportunity for relationships between teammates, coaches to teammates, which are some of the most influential in our society, to fans, to friends, to coworkers. This has a way of bringing people together and building relationships. And believe me when I say that I understand being in a leadership position of an organization that can mean that much to that many people is a big responsibility and a big honor and something I won't take lightly. Okay, so this is the moment when I get to take some time to recognize a few folks. So I appreciate your patience. I recognize this is more about me and them, so I appreciate you indulging me and hanging with us as I get through this, but it's really important to me. And there's been several nice comments made about the places we've been able to be. And Brandy and I, along our journey, have enjoyed some incredible places. We've so enjoyed every stop along the way. But those are really made up of the people, right? The impact that it has on you, or the people you're with, and particularly the mentors and teachers that guide you along the way. So I want to step back through some of these stops. First of all, at Kansas State, of course, I want to thank all of my teammates and all of my coaches. Too many to mention, and in particular Max Urich. Max was my first athletic director. He was throughout his time a model of what an athletic director should be in my mind, and continues to be a friend today. So thank you, Max. I want to thank DeLoss Dodds, who gave me my first opportunity as a graduate assistant at the University of Texas. Literally created an internship out of nothing after he got his arm twisted by the Kansas State president and AD and coaches and other folks that were helping me out along the way. And I especially want to thank Chris Polanski, his deputy at the time, who really allowed DeLoss to stick me in a corner of her office in a little table with a dial-up phone and a tie on and ready to deliver a ticket across any part of the city at any moment's notice. The things I learned there were remarkable. I want to thank all of my Mizzou friends. We had an incredible run at the University of Missouri with some incredible administrators who are now all over the country. And that certainly started with Joe Castiglione, the athletic director there my first couple years. Joe gave me my first full-time professional opportunity. Joe, I will never forget that. I appreciate it, but even more so how you have been supportive to me throughout my entire career. My wife and Brandy and I very much appreciate every step along the way, your guidance and support, and I particularly know that I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for you, Joe. And of course, Mike Alden. Mike Alden is perhaps one of the most influential administrators in the country when it comes to developing other athletic directors. Mike, I have told you many times that nobody taught me more about this position and being an administrator than you, and I would venture to guess that every one of us in Alden's Army, as we like to call ourselves, would say the same. To my Learfield friends, particularly the leadership of that company, Greg Brown, Roger Gardner, Clyde Lear, Andy Rawlings, all the folks that were there at that time, I want to thank you for showing what it means to lead an organization that truly cares about its people. And of course, to all the staff, the friends, the donors at Kansas State, the relationships there, and particularly of all the things that I've been able to do and be a part of in my career, I'm the most proud of my time at Kansas State. And I particularly want to thank John Curry. John is one of the brightest, most forward-thinking professionals in our industry, but most importantly, he's a true and trusted friend. Thank you, John. And finally, to the Florida team, most recently, you all know that is an incredible place that are back there now and that continue to be there. It is really remarkable what has been built there under Jeremy Foley and what Scott Strickland is able to do to continue to take it to another level. Scott, I want to thank you for the opportunity. You're an incredible man, and you're gonna continue to go on to do even more amazing things. So okay, so we're done with the list. I appreciate your patience. As I kind of wrap up with some final thoughts here, I have mentioned momentum, and I'm proud to come alongside it and be a part of it. There's so many reasons to be excited about what's happening here. The leadership, the coaches, the passion of this community, the facilities. Look at the one we're standing in, the recent announcement about tennis, the building you're just moving into, Coach. Across the board, I've been really, really impressed with the investment and the forethought of what's going on here now. But what gets me really excited is the opportunity to continue to build something even bigger and greater. And as Mike and I discussed, the opportunity here is really limitless. But it's going to take everybody coming alongside each other, coming together and doing their part. And I really look forward to the opportunity to come here, sit down, meet with so many of you, ask you questions, listen to me, understand what it really means to be a Memphian, what makes this place special and unique, and then developing a vision with you. But I do think it's important to give you a little bit of insight on what I believe as an athletic director and what are the things that I think are priorities that we need to focus on. And I'm probably talking more to our staff here than anybody else, but I want everybody to know that first and foremost, we're going to care for our student athletes. There's nothing more important that we do than the welfare of our student athletes. We'll take equity and diversity and inclusion, the care for those student athletes extremely, extremely seriously. I also want to, as I mentioned, support our coaches. I will say it once and I'll say it many, many times. There's nothing more impactful than coaches and what they do for not only the young people in our programs, but for the department and for all of us overall. I'm going to want us to serve our fans. You know, fan experience is the biggest buzzword in our industry right now, and for good reason, primarily because of how that impacts is the first two things I just mentioned. So we're going to come at it from every direction, but most importantly, we're going to do it by intentionally building relationships in the community. And I'm going to want us to promote the university mission. There's a lot of good that comes from college athletics. It's almost too numerous to mention, but ultimately we're here to support the greater university mission. And if we're doing that right and we're supporting them, then even greater things can happen. And one of the ways we do that, frankly, is by winning. But we got to win the right way. Let me be clear, I'm a pretty competitive guy, okay? So card games, board games at the Veatch house are a pretty serious affair, right? We like to get after it, but it's got to be done the right way. If it's not done the right way, then in the end it just doesn't matter. So we're going to win, but we're going to win the right way, and we're going to enjoy doing it. I am extremely grateful for the opportunity, for the reception. There's a lot of attention being placed on me and my family, which we certainly appreciate, but I hope in the end this is looked at as a celebration of Memphis and all the good things that are going on here. Alan was nice enough to introduce my family earlier, but I do want to say a few kind words about the family. First of all, to my mom and dad, Chuck and Fran. I grew up in an incredibly faithful, loving, and disciplined home, and I thank you for that. To my family, extended family back home, all of you for your support and love, particularly my brother Matt. Matt, I love you, brother. And of course, my kids. I am extremely proud of the young ladies you've become, the young men you're becoming. And as was mentioned earlier, Jordan is headed off to college, so we're sending our first away from the home as we move here. She's moving back to Manhattan, Kansas to be next to Grandpa and Grandma and many friends. Taylor is a rising sophomore, really good little distance, middle distance runner, right? Following my first love of track, right? Great singer, and Sydney is a really competitive, much like myself, soccer player, basketball player, and they're really looking forward to being in the community, and I could not be more proud than I am of my son, Drew. Finally, I want to thank and recognize my wife, Brandy. You know, people ask me in this kind of process what my greatest strength is, and it's sitting right there. She is my best friend. She is the strongest, most caring, loving, wonderful mother for our children, and the best partner anybody could have. So thank you, Brandy, for coming along alongside me. So that's the Veatch family. We're excited to join your family, Memphis, and appreciate the reception. Thank you.
We'll now take questions for President Rudd, Athletic Director Laird Veatch, and Mr. Alan Graff. If you have a question, please raise your hand, and we'll get a microphone to you. And please state your name and who you're with before you ask your question.
I think it's on.
Questions, media only, please. Jarvis in the back.
Oh, Mr. Veatch, welcome to Memphis.
Thank you.
I'm an alum here, played football here many moons ago.
All right.
This is a great opportunity for Memphis. You mentioned momentum. Tell us a little bit about how that thought process went through you when you were at a place that's already established at Florida.
Well, when you're looking at these type of opportunities, as the president was nice enough to mention, I checked a few boxes for him. You know, we have our boxes too. We look for certain things, certainly leadership, it starts there, quality of coaches, the staff, the support from the fan base, the quality of the institution, and really the culture of the place. And so you start looking at those kind of things, and those are the main ones. There's probably other ones as well, but those are the ones that stood out to me. And as I started digging into it and asking questions, and not just to the folks here, but of course I have advisors and people from across the country that help me look at this kind of thing, and consistently across the board, the opportunity that presents itself here is really special, and particularly at this time. So, you know, I'm a big believer that, you know, timing is a huge part of life, right? And From the beginning, I wanted to make sure that I came at a place where we fit, where we can help and make an impact, but where the timing was right. And I really believe that's here and now.
Dr. Rudd, question for you, Brad Burris, Local 24 News. You just talked about kind of taking it to the next level. What about Mr. Veatch do you think really is the right man specifically to take this program to the next level?
Well, I think one, I identified the skill set that he brings to the job. There's no question that you have to have the competency and the capacity to do that. I think his ability to shape a vision for this department is really exceptional. And I think in the coming months you'll hear more about that vision. And I think the other thing that's critical is his ability to work with this community. And to think about the role of athletics within the university, but more broadly within Memphis and then nationally as well. So we're excited about that and very confident that you'll see movement. You'll see movement quickly, and it'll be an exciting ride.
As a follow-up, there we go. As a follow-up, what kind of community input did you have? I know there wasn't a formal search, but if you could kind of elaborate on the community process in this hire.
Yeah, I don't want to go into all the details of that, but we certainly had some of our trustees involved in that process. We had Board of Visitors involved, some folks involved in that process. And then we had some key stakeholders in the university community that were involved as a part of that process as well. So, these searches are always interesting. And we feel like we've got a good model now, and it's one that's worked well. Brought us Coach Norvell, which has worked out pretty darn well. Yes. I will say Coach Norvell set the record for how quickly we knew that was the guy that we were going to hire. It was about 5 minutes that we knew that was the guy we wanted to hire. It brought us Penny Hardaway, and now it's brought us Laird Veatch, and we feel very good about it.
Mark Giannotto from the Commercial Appeal. Dr. Rudd, going off the previous question, the next step, broadly speaking, what does it look like for this department? Obviously, Laird will dictate the vision of it, but when you were going into this and looking for a candidate, what did you see as the next step for this program?
Yeah, I think that I think really that is what it looks like. I think is how Laird articulates that. So I'm going to turn that over to him. I think that's the vision that we brought him in here to shape. What we looked for is someone that we felt confident had the ability to shape that vision. And so, Laird, I'm going to let you respond to that.
Okay. So the first thing that comes to mind is with the opportunity to be at different schools over my career, you begin to realize that every place is unique. So there's times, I think, where leaders probably of any organization, but particularly athletic directors, one of the mistakes you can make is come into a place and think that you know it all, right? And that you have a certain formula or package that you want to come in and deliver to that particular place. So I do think it's really important, and that's very genuine, that I get here and listen and ask a lot of questions. And you can't answer that question truthfully until you go through that process. So when I say I want to get together with the people here and develop that vision, I mean that genuinely. I do think the things that I mentioned earlier about sort of the core tenets of what we're going to believe is in a department are really important. And those are consistent, should be in my mind across athletic departments in our country. But we will form that together, and we will articulate it. So you'll find that I'm a planner. I like to be organized. I like to be strategic, and we will have a plan. But we're going to form that once I get here. And I'd also say it's not something that happens overnight. I'm not necessarily patient, and we're going to work our tails off. But at the same time, one of the things that I learned, and starting with the experience at Kansas State as a player, is the importance of just getting a little bit better every day and finding ways to improve bit by bit by bit. And as you do that, that's how those kind of visions are realized.
Yeah, one more for me. You've spent most of your professional life at Autonomous 5 programs. Did I say that right, Dr. Rudd?
Let me applaud you on that use of Autonomy 5 versus Power 5. Thank you, Jarvis. Thank you.
Okay.
It's Power 6, Autonomy 5,
Hey,
to be clear.
I like that even better. Okay, so what the challenges for programs like this one here, which Memphians feels at the top of the next level, how are they different, and how have you been able to work your mind around thinking that, you had all this money coming in at Florida, Missouri, and other places like that, and here it's really have to grind for what you get?
Well, first of all, I'd say that what you'd actually find is there's a lot more similarities than differences. There's certainly more resources at several of those schools. The one I'm at, have been at, and I am currently continue to be employed at for about another month or so, is one of those that's really in another echelon of schools in terms of resources. But at the same time, what you'll find there is all of them, including schools like the one I'm at, continue to have challenges meeting their expenses. So a lot of it is how you manage it. And I've found at other schools that I've been, and Kansas State's and Missouri's, frankly, aren't that dissimilar to what we are in terms of budget and size, staff size, resources, facilities. That you have to be creative, right? You gotta be smart about how you do it and how you approach things. But there really is more similarities than differences. So I think there's also advantages that you find with schools of our size, and that is that you tend to be a little more nimble and a little more lean and mean, and able to operate a little more efficiently. So there's different things we'll find as we get through it, but I'm looking forward to some of the advantages as well.
I think down here.
Rita Sparks.
Hi, I'm Rita Sparks, and I'm one of the ambassadors here. And we've invested a lot of money in this university, needless to say. The one to your right, even more so. But taking this permanent job, I know is very demanding, but I also know that raising 4 kids is very demanding. And your 4 are at the age that maybe daddy needs to be around a little more.
Yeah.
So how do you go about allocating when the university needs you, but your children need you too? Mike has done a good job of this, but his child is a lot younger, but you have a very crucial crew here.
Yeah.
I'm just interested in knowing how you're going to balance how you're going to juggle all the balls.
Yeah, you bet. Well, first of all, thank you for the question. It's a thoughtful question. And also thank you for all the investments you've made and the things you've done to impact this place. These kind of things don't just happen. They happen when folks like yourself and Alan and others believe in it and invest the right way. I mentioned my greatest strength earlier. The real answer is the lady that's staring at me with the helmet in her lap there. I do think it's important that you have an incredible partner when you have a role like this. It is challenging. I get that question a lot from young professionals in our industry, and I'd like to think because we've done that pretty well, and we've been fortunate to. I think Brandy and I both had wonderful parents and good models. But it's challenging. So I'd say the biggest thing is have a great partner, right, that gets it and understands it. And frankly, I tell other young professionals that are getting into this kind of business in particular that you kind of got to cut out a lot of other things. So we have our family, we have our faith and our church, and we have our work. And those are kind of the things that we focus on, and it's worked out pretty well. And I'm sure it's going to continue to be challenging, if not more so in this role, but I'll make it a top priority.
And Rita, I asked him the same question when I spent time with him. He told me he only sleeps 3 hours a night. So yeah.
Fred Hodges.
My name is Fred Hodges.
Hi, Fred.
I'm probably the oldest letterman here, class of 1956.
Awesome.
Also an ambassador. Thank you to our wonderful and great university, and thanks to Dr. Rudd, and thanks to Alan and all your folks and everybody that's brought you here. And I've already told Dr. Rudd he's hit a long, long home run. Thank you and welcome to Memphis, and thank you for being a Tiger.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.